The headlines: Atiku Tinubu pledged economic rebirth to address poverty and insecurity. Snake scare heightens in Lokoja's water receipts. Federal government to begin direct flight to Israel November. And lastly, on the foreign scene, Democratic Republic of Congo colonels get a death penalty for murder of Chinese workers. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Updates. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us once again. Now the news in detail. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Atiku Abubakar, says that if elected, he will improve security and increase a dynamic economy and unify the country. Atiku disclosed this when he appeared alongside other presidential candidates at the Arawa Joint Committee to unveil their plans for the North and the country if voted to power come 2023. The report.
The interactive session is to intimate the presidential candidate of different political parties and also provides the candidate the opportunity to showcase their plans for the North and the country if elected into power. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Atiku Abubakar, while unveiling his development plans, which comprises security, unity, and the dynamic economy of the country, promised to better the lives of Nigerians.
1, to restore Nigeria's unity. 2, to strengthen national security. 3, to build a dynamic economy for prosperity. And improve education delivery, and then also devolve more powers to the states and the local government. I believe we can unite and do it together and propel northern Nigeria or northern states to a higher level of prosperity, peace, security, and unity.
The presidential candidate of the PRP, Kola Abiola, also disclosed his plans for the nation if voted into power.
My vision is to lay a foundation for making Nigeria a top 10 economy in 20 years. My mission is to govern with the people to achieve human capital development, security and national cohesion, and to serve as a bridge between generations. On the back of this, we have laid out a carefully thought-through plan of action based on a three-point agenda: the people, and the people.
Kola Abiola of the PRP, Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, and Adewale Adebayo of the SDP were the candidates who appeared before the Joint Northern Committee on Saturday. The interactive session with the presidential candidate is a platform provided by the 6 notable groups in the North to assess the blueprint if it will help the North address our challenges and the country in general. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
And the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said when voted into office, his administration will champion an efficient government that will eliminate revenue and expense leakages across all federal government areas and leveraging technology into government operations. Speaking at the 7th edition of the Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit, Tinubu said he will raise a team of most talented of Nigerians, men, women and youths, no matter their tribe and affiliations, to reset Nigeria on a path to achieve double-digit economic growth within a couple of years. Tinubu also pledged to introduce policies that will make it easier to transfer titles and carry out transactions on landed properties, stressing that when voted into office, his administration will work with the private sector to significantly expand mortgage financing and provide credits and incentives to encourage real estate developers.
Under my leadership,
The government will place great emphasis on the use of counterinsurgency doctrine and strategy by our military. We will continue to train and equip our gallant forces and security personnel with the resources, gear, equipment, and all technology necessary to eliminate crime in our society. It might not be to zero, but your life will be secured.
Meanwhile, eminent Nigerians on Saturday gathered in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria for the 7th edition of the CAD Invest, an annual event organized by Kaduna State Investment Promotion Agency. They include the 2023 presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and 14th Kano Emir, Muhammadu Sanusi, Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, amongst others. At the event, President Muhammadu Buhari was represented by the Minister of State, Industry and Trade Investment, Maryam Katagum. And the theme of this year's CAD Invest is building a resilient economy. The former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Lamido Sanusi, is the keynote speaker on the topic, improvising sub-national resilience against global economic shocks.
In 2019, officially, we were importing 40 million liters a day. 2019. In 2022, officially, we are importing 66 million liters a day. In 3 years, we have increased our petrol consumption by 50%.
But ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Nasarawa State Command of the Nigerian Police has met with political parties' leaders and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to brainstorm on pathways for the smooth electoral process. Abubakar Abdullahi, who sent in the report as presented from our studio, says the meeting was to address areas of issues around security and tensions that may arise before, during and after the elections. The report.
The meeting between the police, the Independent National Electoral Commission and the leadership of the political parties in Lafia, the state capital, was in compliance with the directive of the Inspector General of Police, Alkali Baba, who ordered all state commands to liaise with the resident electoral commissioners and political party leaders to come up with a campaign roadmap that will address possible conflicts in the election process. Addressing the gathering, Nasarawa State Police Commissioner Adeshina Shoyemi said ahead of the 23 general elections officers and men of the command have been cautioned to ensure high sense of professionalism and fairness in the dealings.
I emphatically want to assure you that ahead of the electionary process and the 2023 general election, all police officers and men serving in the command have been charged to be neutral, alert, and display high degree of professionalism and fairness in their dealings with all political parties.
He enjoined all politicians to support the police and the election process by operating within the ambit of the Constitution and Electoral Act, while advising political parties to prevail on their supporters to be of good conduct by shunning any act of capable of disrupting the electoral process and peace of the state. The police commissioner reiterated that the police would deal ruthlessly and decisively with any act that contravenes the relevant laws. Representatives of different political parties pledged to ensure the success of 2023 general elections in the state and the country.
From the campaign down to the election day, we ensure that we cooperate with the security agencies, ensuring that we will have a peaceful atmosphere for the exercise.
That is to have our commitment as a party. We would ensure that we play the game in accordance with the extant laws of the land as enumerated by the CP.
We will definitely get back to our political party and address our supporters very well. Meanwhile, that at least the Electoral Act has only spelled it out. There's no difficulties, either snatching of ballot paper, running with this and this and that. It is no longer there.
INEC resident electoral commissioner in the state, Uthman Ajidagba, represented by the administrative secretary of the commission, Usman Wase, said the commission will remain impartial throughout the process.
May I use this opportunity to, on behalf of the Honorable Resident Electoral Commissioner, pledge that the Commission is going to give level playing ground for all political parties.
At the end of the meeting, it was agreed that chairmen of all registered political parties are expected to sign an undertaking on behalf of their parties to be law-abiding and of good conduct throughout the electionary period in the state.
And in Zamfara State, at least one person is feared dead and about 14 others injured in a clash between supporters of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and those of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital. The incident was said to have occurred near the residence of governorship candidates of the PDP in the 2023 governorship election in Zamfara State. The PDP was holding an occasion to receive 30,000 defectors from the 14 local government areas of the state who dumped the ruling All Progressives Congress into the PDP fold to join forces with the governorship candidate of the party in the state to unseat the incumbent governor, Bello Muhammad, in the 2023 general elections. Eyewitness accounts said while the PDP were holding the event near the residence of the governorship candidate of the party, some supporters of the ruling party invaded the venue, attacked its supporters and destroyed their campaign vehicle. The 14 victims who were left with injuries were rushed to Yariman Bakura Specialist Hospital in Gusau, where they are currently receiving treatment. Reptiles, particularly snakes, have reportedly taken over many homes in Lokoja, the capital of Kogi State, causing panic among residents who are returning home after a gradual receding of water. Residents of Ajara quarters in a marine area of Lokoja, Adankolo, part of Army Barracks area, Gadumo and Ganaja areas, whose homes were flooded, told Daily Trust that they have been battling with influx of snakes in their homes. Equally, travelers plying the Ganaja-Lokoja road were reported to have encountered a big snake in their boat shortly after taking off to cross the other side of the town. On Thursday, a snake was said to have been sighted by a passenger in the boat a few meters from the shore, causing passengers to jump into the water. And as part of measures to mitigate the effect of flooding, the Delta State government, through its Flood Disaster Management Committee, has set up 10 internally displaced persons camps across the 3 senatorial districts of the state. The Director General, Orientation Bureau, Eugene Azuka Uzum, disclosed this while briefing the press in Asaba, the state's capital.
The Director General disclosed that apart from the 10 new camps, 2 additional camps have been set up by the Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, DESU PADEC, in Uheli and Ashaka to complement the effort of the state government. The DG stated that relief materials distribution centers had also been established close to the camps to take care of the feeding and health needs of the flood victims in the various camps.
And today we have 10 camps functional. 10 camps functional in various locations across the senatorial district. And the camps are in Obuafo, in Oshimili South local government. We have in Alaka, in the Re-Axis, Alaka Grammar School. We have the One camp, we have the Utagbogbe camp. We have the Patani camp, the Isoko Central School or the ICS camp.
While lamenting that the 2022 flood was becoming more challenging than what was experienced in 2012, the DG appealed for assistance from the federal government and relevant agencies. Azum also called for collaboration from the affected states to create more dams to mitigate flooding.
We are using this opportunity to call on the federal government and its intervention agencies to come to the support of the Delta State government. We are calling on NEMA. We are calling on other MDAs to come to the support of Delta State government. We are also using this opportunity to reach out to the federal government and all the states that are involved. We have the states of Kogi, we have Benue, we have Niger State, we have Rivers, Abia, and more of the states for a much needed collaboration for the construction of dams to be able to hold back the water and mitigate on the challenges of the ravaging flood.
He assured victims of the state government's commitment to addressing their plight in order to give them a new lease of life.
And still matters of flooding, the Bayelsa State government has expressed worry that the impact of this year's flooding might result in humanitarian crisis, saying about 700,000 persons have been affected. The Commissioner for Environment and Chairman of the State Task Force on Flood Mitigation and Management, Iselama Gbaribiri, who raised the concern on Saturday while giving updates on the committee's activities, said no fewer than 300 communities and villages have either been totally or partially submerged. He said that virtually all communities and streets in Yenagoa local government area had also been either submerged or partially flooded. He said there have been reported cases of corpses washed away from the cemetery in Sokoro community in Yenagoa, raising concerns of an impending health crisis. He, however, assured that the state government will do its best to bring relief to victims of flood, as the committee was working round the clock to address the challenge. Meanwhile, the situation has pushed cost of food items and transportation high. You're watching Trust TV News updates. Coming up shortly. How fuel scarcity forces Katsina motorists to abandon vehicles. Details of the story and more after the break. Stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news updates on Trust Television here in Abuja. And before we proceed, a recap of our top stories. We told you that Atiku Tinubu pledged economic rebirth to address poverty and insecurity in Nigeria. And snake scare heightens in Lokoja as water recedes. And moving on to other news, the Zamfara state government has ordered the shutting down of Nigerian Television Authority (NTA) Gusau and the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria (FRCN's) Pride FM for violating government order and journalism practice. A statement released by the state's Commissioner for Information Ibrahim Dosara in Gusau said other media organizations sanctioned include Gamji TV, Gamji FM and Al Umma TV, which are privately owned media outfits operating in the state. Dosara said the closure of the affected stations was approved by the State Security Council. According to him, the Commissioner of Police have been directed to close down these stations, and arrested persons will be prosecuted and if found violating any of the laws. Many motorists have been forced to abandon vehicles due to fuel scarcity at filling stations in Katsina City. Many filling stations closed for almost a week, while very few operating are running skeletal services. Abdullahi Yamadi, who went round some filling stations, report that the effect of fuel scarcity is taking a toll on the people. Take a look.
Usually busy locations in the Asian city are now deserted, largely due to shortage of petroleum products at filling stations. People are resorting to trekking or riding bicycles to reach their destinations to avoid wasting long hours on queues at filling stations. Motorists spend hours or pass the night on long queues at filling stations, all in a bid to get fuel, which many say is compounding the already harsh economic situation for Nigerians. You see, we spend the whole day trying to get fuel here, and this is seriously affecting our day-to-day activities. If I go back to the owner of this motorcycle, what will I tell him? I have to pay him, because this motorcycle is not mine. I use it on hire purchase. I don't want to prolong this issue, but we are suffering. However, some people selling the commodity at black market are making a brisk business. What we do here is helping people that cannot withstand the rigor of spending the whole day on queue to buy fuel. We sell 1 liter at the rate of 487 naira. It is left for you to calculate and see how much will it cost you to purchase 1 gallon, which is 4 to 5 liters. This is coming at a time the state leadership of Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, said it is doing all it could to see that the allocation of the commodity to Katsina is judiciously distributed as soon as it arrives in the state. Katsina State Task Force on the Availability and Distribution of Petroleum Products is making concerted efforts to ensure that the commodity meant for the state is delivered to the appropriate filling station.
Our trucks are loading from Lagos. Before, they are taking 2 to 3 days to reach Katsina here. But now, if the truck leave Katsina here, before it will go Lagos, load product, come back, it will take about 20 to 25 days.
Some residents, however, alleged that some marketers are either hoarding or diverting the commodity. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
And the federal government has disclosed plans to commence direct flights from Nigeria to Israel for airlifting of Christian pilgrims. The executive secretary of the commission, Reverend Yakubu Pam, said that by the end of November 2022, direct flights from Nigeria to Israel will be launched. A statement from chairman of the airpeace, Alan Onyema, assured of its readiness to launch the flight operations, even as the commission says it will promote direct flights to Israel. Onyema stated that airpeace is desirous of kicking off direct flight operation to Israel in order to ease the burden of connecting flights from the commission and the intending pilgrims. October 15th of every year is set aside by the National Federation of the Blind to celebrate White Cane Awareness Day. All over the world, to commemorate the 2022 International White Cane Day, the Nigerian Association of the Blind gathered at the National Human Rights Commission in Abuja, where they called for more inclusion for the visually impaired in Nigeria. Highlighting some of the challenges faced by the visually impaired, chairman of the Nigerian Association of the Blind FCT chapter, Agada Jacob, said the white cane increases the level of confidence and independence of visually impaired, but there's need for more awareness in the society about the white cane.
The rates of employment were grossly represented, and I want a change in this direction, because one of the stigmatization is that we cannot access our place of work easily, we cannot function properly. No, it is a wrong perception. That's why something like this White Cane Day is very important for us, because most of our people go about and people will marvel that why did you go out alone? Why are you not accompanied with somebody? And due to economic challenges, we cannot be carrying sighted guards up and down. So with this White Cane Day, we go to our place of work, we can work, and with other assistive devices, we can function just like any other persons in a place of work.
And on the foreign scene, 6 people, including 2 army colonels, have been convicted to death by a military court in the Democratic Republic of Congo in connection with the murder of 2 Chinese mine workers in March. 4 other military personnel were sentenced to 10 years in prison by the Ituri military court on Friday. Spokesman for military operations in Ituri province, Lieutenant Jules Ngongo, said the move will serve as an example for the black sheep in the armed forces. The 2 colonels are accused of planning an attack on a convoy in March with the aim of stealing 4 gold bars and $6,000 in cash being transported by victims who were returning from a gold mine. Attacks on Chinese managed mines and Chinese workers are not uncommon in resource-rich Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, which has been ravaged by military violence for decades. With that, we have come to the end of the news update at this hour. On behalf of the news crew and the technical crew, I am Martia Umar. Thank you for watching.